What's going on, everybody? Welcome in the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman. Now, coming up on today's show, we'll be diving into what ESPN had to say about the Vikings roster. They revealed a starting lineup for Minnesota, and they were also ranking all of the top rosters in the National Football League heading into the next season. So, a pretty fun show we'll dive into. But before we do so, if you guys could hit that subscribe button today. We're actually closing in here on our next milestone of 58,000 subscribers. So, if you guys haven't hit that sub button just yet, please go down there, hit that subscribe button. We'll keep you guys posted with everything you need to know around your Minnesota Vikings. And we just need 390 more of you guys to hit that sub button today. So if you haven't, hit that subscribe button. All right, let's talk about what ESPN, our good old friends over there, had to say about the Vikings roster. Now, normally the Vikings in these rankings always catch a stray in these articles, and they kind of did on this one. I was a little shocked the Vikings weren't in the top 10 on this list, but here were ESPN's top 10 NFL rosters. Shockingly, they had the Baltimore Ravens coming in at number 1. I thought they would have had the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, but then they had the Eagles at 2, and then the Detroit Lions at 3, the Buffalo Bills at 4. They had the Kansas City Chiefs at number 5. I guess that's credit to Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. But again, the offseason champs, Denver Broncos, they're there every single article high up on these lists. So they're at number 6, and the Commanders at 7, Rams at 8, the Bengals at 9, and the Niners at 10. Now, I don't really have any issue with any of these teams being ahead of the Vikings, except for the Bengals, Niners, and Commanders. I don't know what argument you can make to have just a top-to-bottom roster better than Minnesota in either of those three organizations. But coming in at number 11, they did have the Minnesota Vikings. Now, in terms of the NFC North, they had the Lions at number 3, the Green Bay Packers at 14, and the Chicago Bears at 15. So they obviously had the Vikings second in terms of best overall rosters in the NFC North, but still, they're about 5 or 6 in terms of their rankings in the NFC. Don't necessarily agree about that. But then they started flying through the starting lineup. And, obviously they had J.J. McCarthy as QB1 there in Minnesota. Even though Kevin O'Connell hasn't come out and flatly said he will be the starter. As we all know, he will be rocking QB1. But then at starting running back position, they did have Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason. They didn't determine who would be the true lead back there. Probably just going to be a running back by committee. I can see these guys getting 50-50 splits for the start of the season. But then the two starting wide receivers, of course, you had Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. Didn't list a third wide receiver. They actually had the Vikings having 2 tight ends in their starting lineup, which obviously being TJ Hawkinson and Josh Oliver. Love the tandem they have here. The more I was looking at TJ Hawkinson heading into the year, I think he's going to have a monster season. Coming off that torn ACL last year, didn't have a full offseason to recover, just never really got his feet under himself, but he looks awesome in the offseason clips I've seen. I'm expecting him to have a massive bounce back year. But, the Vikings starting offensive line in 2024 looks a whole lot different than what it was in 2025. Like, here's their offensive line from 24 of Cam Robinson, Brandell, Garrett Bradbury, and Reiser. Now, as we know, we have a whole new offensive line to the left of O'Neal with now Will Fries at right guard. You got Ryan Kelly at center. You got Donovan Jackson at left guard. Now you have Christian Darrisaw at the left tackle position, but then you kick it to the defensive side of the field with the third down package that the Vikings could deploy. Now, they actually had all 5 of these guys starting, so they're trying to find a way where Dallas Turner gets out there on the football field more. Maybe you just go 2 D tackles, have 3 edge rushers. So I like what ESPN had there, but also starting cornerback room. They just had these 3, Byron Murphy Jr., Mekhi Blackman, and Isaiah Rodgers. No Jeff Okudah, none of the UDFAs we all love, but I agree with ESPN here. I think these 3 will be the starters. And then the safety room. They actually had the Vikings having 3 here. As we know, they run that bandit defense like 98% of the time. So we'll see a whole lot of Theo Jackson filling in from Cam Bynum this upcoming season. You could maybe see a guy like Jay Ward step in there if, Harrison Smith has to miss a game. But, in terms of ESPN just laying out the starters for the Vikings, no disagreements across the board. But you guys let me know. Madden's coming out here in just a couple of weeks. So you guys give me a Madden rating for the Vikings roster. Scale it for me. 1 through 99 down below in the comment section. I think they're around the 87, 88. But you guys let me know. Give the Vikings roster a Madden rating. Now, coming up next, ESPN went a little more in depth on the Vikings roster. They're talking about a non-starter you need to know, the biggest strength, the biggest weakness, a X factor. So we'll dive into all that here in a second. But before we do so, I got to tell you guys about a new product we have here at Vikings Now by Chat Sports. That is Factor Form. Now, start your day right with Daily Greens by Factor Form at factorform.com/VikingsChat to get 40% off plus free shipping on your first order. That's factor75.com/VikingsChat. Hit that link in the comment section and description of today's show. Now, I've tried green supplements in the past, and I swore I was never going to try them again until I tried Factor Form's Daily Greens. Now, most of us dread drinking greens, but Factor Form changed the game. You actually crave your greens as the sister brand to Factor Meals. Factor Form was designed to work hand in hand with your meals, making better nutrition effortless. Daily Greens is a greens powder by Factor Form you'll look forward to drinking. Just one scoop delivers 100% of your daily nutrients, filling nutrient gaps, supporting whole body health, and helping you feel your best. With a refreshing, citrusy, clean, and smooth taste that's actually enjoyable to drink, mix a single serve packet in water, and you're good to go. So start your day right with Daily Greens by Factor Form at factor75.com/Vikings chat to get 40% off plus free shipping on your first order. That's factor75.com/Vikings chat for 40% off plus free shipping. Hit that link in the comment section and description of today's show, factor75.com/Vikings chat. Now, some topics we'll discuss, or ESPN laid out the article like this, where they had the biggest strength, weakness, X factor, and non-starter the no. So we're going to start off here with the biggest strength, and they had the Vikings defensive front. And, I think for right reason. I think this Vikings front seven is one of the best in the National Football League. You added Hargrave, you added Allen to already a good unit from the previous year, so it should just be some icing on the cake there. But it was actually Mike Clay who had this part of the article saying this: Minnesota has a lot of strengths, especially on offense. But it's tough to find a defensive tackle / edge rusher combo with more upside across the league. Edge was already a strength following last year's season additions of Jonathan Grenard and Andrew Van Ginkel, who were two of the 9 players in the NFL with 11.5 sacks or more last season. The group will be even stronger this season if 2024 first-round pick Dallas Turner makes a leap. Minnesota also beefed up the interior during free agency, adding Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave to go with Harrison Phillips. Injuries were a problem last season, but Allen and Hargrave have been difference makers when healthy. And I really believe this. Like, the front 4, front 7 of this football team will be the backbone of this football team. Now, I know if you ask, like, the national media and people don't really dive into the Vikings when you think about the faces of the franchise and, like, who are the number one, guys to watch. It's Jefferson, J.J. McCarthy, Kevin O'Connell, Christian Darrisaw. But I think the best unit on this football team is that defensive line. I mean, the combination you have of guys on the interior who can win, guys on the perimeter who can win. You also have guys who are great against the run. There really is no weak point. You got top-end talent. You got the blue chippers with Grenard, but you also have some great depth at that position. So I agree with their assessment on the biggest strength for the Vikings roster, and I also agree with their biggest weakness. They did have the cornerback position. Now, I also think the Vikings roster is pretty easy to understand where their weaknesses are, and there's no doubt it's the cornerback position. But it was also Mike Clay writing this part up, saying quarterbacks would have been an easy pick, as J.J. McCarthy has yet to take a regular season snap. But I'm more concerned about the corner situation. Byron Murphy Jr. was a good re-signing, but Stephon Gilmore and Shaq Griffin both departed this offseason. That duo is set to be replaced by some combination of Mekhi Blackman, who missed off last year with the torn ACL, and journeyman Isaiah Rodgers, Jeff Okudah, Tavierre Thomas, and Ambry Thomas. Now, there's no doubt the biggest X factor on this defense is Isaiah Rodgers. Now, Brian Flores, Kevin O'Connell, they're pounding the table for Kwesi to sign him during free agency. He did just that. He was very good with the Eagles last year in limited snaps, so can he get more snaps and maintain that production? That's a huge question mark, but that's one of those guys where Flores wants him. I want him as well, so he'll have a massive role in this defense. Play inside, play outside. Flores will move those guys all across the football field, so we'll see how Rodgers ends up playing. And, the X factor for 2025, who would have saw this coming? Obviously, it's going to be J.J. McCarthy. He might be the biggest X factor, not only on the Vikings, but the entire National Football League. And we all know this. Like, we can look at the Vikings coaching staff. We can look at the roster top to bottom. You can make an argument they're top 5 in the NFL, no doubt. But it all comes down to the right arm of number 9. Can J.J. McCarthy, can he have it? Jaden Daniels, C.J. Stroud, first year starting in the NFL, or is it going to take him some time? Because he is the youngest starting quarterback in the league, still 22 years old. Even a guy like Cam Ward's older than him. Obviously, Tyler Shuck's older than him. So we all know J.J. is the biggest X factor, but, all these people, they always say, what if J.J. doesn't work out? What if he doesn't end up, living up to the hype coming out of college? What if I turn that on you? What if he does work out? What if he is a top 10 quarterback? Then how are we talking about this Vikings team? So I think that one was pretty obvious, but a bit of a shocker for their last one in terms of their non-starter, the no. They had Rondell Moore. I was a little shocked by this. I thought maybe they would have went maybe a guy on the offensive line like Justin School, who will probably have to fill in for Darrisaw if he misses week 1. But they went Rondell Moore for this, and it was actually Aaron Schatz who wrote up this part of the article saying wide receiver Rondale Moore, a 2021 second-round pick, never put up more than 435 receiving yards in a season during his 3 with the Arizona Cardinals. He was traded to Atlanta last season, but he missed the entire year with a knee injury. Now, on a 1-year prove-it deal with the Vikings, Moore can compete with Naylor for snaps to wide receiver 3. Cam Moore finally really produced as a wide receiver, and Will O'Connell also used more rushing skills. He had 28 carries for 178 yards and a touchdown in 2023. Now, I also think with Rondale Moore, he is one of those guys that, yes, he's got all types of talent, but he might struggle to see the football field because I thought they left out also Ty Felton on that. Like, I think Ty Felton has a better chance to see the football field in comparison to Rondale Moore. I think he's more of a versatile receiver, where I think, yes, Rondale Moore in more of a condensed role may be better than Ty Felton, but let's just say Addison gets suspended. I even think Ty Felton flies into that wide receiver 2 role more than even Jalen Naylor, because I think Jalen Naylor is a fantastic wide receiver 3, but if you give him more responsibilities at that wide receiver 2 spot, maybe you can see his game fall off just a little bit. So I thought that was a little interesting. They chose Rondale Moore for the non-starter, the no. But if you guys made it to the end of today's show, just hit me with the SKOL down below in the comment section. We appreciate all of you guys for watching today's show, and also hit that subscribe button on your way out. We'll keep you guys up to date with everything on your Minnesota Vikings, and we'll see you guys next time here on the show. As always, SKOL Vikes.